Hi, I'm Candace. Welcome to my channel. If you're new here, I like to talk about fragrances, beauty, and even fashion with a spin on looking and feeling elegant with a little touch of boho. So if this interests you, please stay tuned. Today, and in case you go into the archives, I want you to know this is my first video on YouTube, okay? And this is going to be a fragrance review. I recently had a really big tragedy in my life. I'll probably talk about it more as time goes on. But my mother passed away very unexpectedly, and I ended up with a collection of her perfumes, and I love them. They remind me of her so much, and I recognize how much smell and fragrance can give you an experience, bring a memory, do so many things. And I really got enthralled with just having more of those experiences, smelling more things, being taken places. Part of it might be a little bit, getting away from depression. Part of it is making memories and smelling perfumes from like the 90s and the 2000s that remind me of her. And honestly, another part of it is that fragrances always fit. And I love that because if you're like me, a woman of a certain age, your weight, and have had a couple kids, your weight has probably gone up and down a couple times. And you want to know something? Fragrance always fits. If I tell you that I've bought over 100 perfumes in the last 2 months, I'm not exaggerating. I've gone to the stores multiple times, smelled them all, blind bought, done research to figure out what am I missing in my collection, or what have I missed in the last 5-10 years that are just like epic perfumes that, epic fragrances that you have to smell. So I got my hands on a lot. I feel like I'm pretty caught up at this point. And there's a couple that, I shouldn't say a couple, there's a few that even before I realized that they were dupes being, I understand it's like a bad word now, but before I even knew they were dupes, I had bought some less expensive perfumes. And then now I realize they're dupes, and I've actually bought the real versions, the originals, let's say. And what I found is surprising. Do I need to buy a full-size bottle of the real thing? Because sometimes I'll just have a decant. Do I need to buy the real bottle? When should I wear the original, inexpensive version I bought? Or should I just chuck it? Because now that I have the real thing, I just like that one so much better. There's a little bit of both. So I'll be covering some of those in some of my upcoming videos. Today, I'm gonna do one of those. That's gonna be my first video, which is, before I knew it was a dupe, I went to Oakcha, have you ever heard of Oakcha? And I bought Akimbo. It's a little hard to see this bottle. I bought Akimbo. It was a blind buy. I think this was last Christmas, so this was probably like 7 months ago, not that long ago. I got kind of obsessed with this brand, again, not knowing that it was like a dupe house or anything like that. But I ended up buying 12 different perfumes from them. And they have a really good return policy, I will say. Oakcha does. There was a few that I ended up buying that I didn't like, and I returned them, exchanged them. Anyway, they were very, very, very nice about it. Anyway, so this one is Akimbo. And you know what it's a dupe of? It is a dupe of Creed Aventus for her. So my husband only wears Creed Aventus for him. I try to get him to try other colognes. He's very, very much a loyalist. But anyway, so I wanted to go ahead and try this one. And it was so interesting. Yes, this is a very good, I'm gonna say dupe. It's a very good inspired by of Creed, but of the Creed Aventus for her. I have a little sample here they were kind enough to give. The question at the end of this is I will answer if I need to get a full bottle of this. But they're in the same family, but they are different. So as an example, so I'm gonna break this down in a few different ways. One is going to be the initial spray. Now for me, when I do an initial spray, an initial sniff test, I always, especially when I'm dealing with a dupe or something that's inspired by one of these less expensive versions, I always wait like 5-10 seconds because it's just not fair. The less expensive versions always start out more alcohol-y, more like, what is that? You have to let it dry down a little bit to really smell the perfume. Otherwise, if you ask me, they kind of all smell the same. I mean, not exactly, but you know what I mean? They kind of do. You have to give it a second. I have, in fact, recently sprayed one that I was like, oh my, it was a blind buy, like, oh my God, this is awful. Oh. And literally 30 seconds later, I was like, I'm in love with this perfume. What is it? I'll tell you more about that one in another video. It's called And Some Gold. Again, another, which I did not know, another dupe of a high-end PDM, which actually smelled. I'll do another video on that one, but that was amazing. But first spray, not amazing. You gotta give it a minute. So this spray, sorry, I sprayed both and I didn't even show you on camera. This one is Creed. Oakcha does have a really good atomizer as well. I'll show you that in a second. So first on Creed. I think it's been about 10 seconds. Yeah, it's floral, it's, I don't know, herbaceous a bit, citrusy. And I'll tell you right now, I didn't even look at the notes before I'm filming this. Because sometimes, you know, just so you know, they don't always put all the notes, you know, online. They only put a couple they want to stand out, but there's way more things in these mixes that they're never gonna tell us. So you just have to kind of smell it for yourself. I'm smelling a little bit of a floral in there too. And it's lovely, open, bright, fresh, to me like an everyday scent. This one is the Akimbo. I already sprayed it, but I just want you to see the atomizer, if you can. It's a good atomizer on these Oakchas. This is Akimbo. I have to say, I did use this earlier as well on both of my wrists, let it settle, did some sniff tests with my husband. I'll tell you what he said in a moment, but just whoa. It's so strong. Okay, so same scent family, fresh, citrusy, floral, just very bright. But this one, I say it like this. The Creed version is like a classy, you know, educated, you know, kind of older sister who's come home from university somewhere, you know, on the East Coast, maybe even abroad, where she's been hanging out with some really preppy people. She goes to polo games sometimes, and she doesn't try too hard. She's not too feminine. She doesn't try too hard. And she is into her studies, you know? She's going places though. She's still very attractive, but she's serious. She's a little bit serious. And she probably wears button-ups. Okay. This one from Oakcha is her cousin, who's just trying a little too hard, but she can't help herself. She's loud. She's loud. She's just not as refined. She's got similar, it's the same family. She's just a little rough around the edges. This gonna sound like that. I have plenty of friends who went to state schools, don't get me wrong. And I went to the University of New Mexico, so I'm just saying. But if this one's going to Oxford, this one's going to maybe, you know, University of San Diego. Like, no, San Diego State, more like a state school. So this one, the Akimbo they're so similar, especially on paper. And then I'll put it on my wrist here in a second. But it is just not as refined. Screechy, I've heard a lot of people say screechy. It is a little, it's in your face. It's very loud, very citrusy. Whereas this one is fresh and could possibly be a signature scent worthy, because it's a little bit unique and not too soft or foo-foo, not, you know, it's feminine, but it's a clean feminine scent. You could wear this every day. You could wear this I say you can wear this to a brunch in Studio City. You can wear this to a brunch somewhere, you know, not too fancy. You're not trying to impress anybody. You're just clean, going out, you know, someplace nice, having a good time. This one is so strong and just not as refined. It might interrupt the food area. I feel like this one is more like, you might want to wear this going on a hike, or it's hard to decide where to wear this because it's super loud, but not sexy. So this one to me is like, you can wear it in the house to wake yourself up. You can clean up the house when you're wearing this. You can wear this on a hike. You can wear this if you're going out to eat during the day, someplace that's just not quite the vibe, but you just don't know what to wear and you just want to wake up. I would pick Akimbo. Otherwise, if you're looking for something that's a little bit more well-rounded, I would pick the Creed. But let's talk about projection though, and longevity. Huge differences here. So if you're somebody who wants everyone to smell you and you like the scent family, the citrus, floral, etc. If you like this fresh scent family and you want everyone to smell you, you gotta go with Akimbo. Night and day in terms of projection. This one is loud. Akimbo is loud. You can smell it. It is loud. This Creed is much more of a, it's not subdued. It's still fresh, it's still bright, but it is more subdued than the Oakcha. Oakcha definitely is a lot louder. And then longevity, I gotta say, the longevity on this Oakcha brand, on this Akimbo, if I tell you it's at least 3 times as much as Creed, I'm not exaggerating. I can't even say double. It's gotta be at least 3 times, because I sprayed Creed on one wrist, I sprayed Akimbo on the other wrist, cleaned up the house, did a couple things. An hour later, I went and asked my husband to smell each wrist, let me know which one he likes, because he's very bougie and he's Creed all the way. Did I mention that? Just in general in his own life. But I had him smell each wrist. This Creed wrist, I said, smell that. He's like, I don't smell anything. I said, oh, smell right here. And he's like, oh, okay, I smell it. And then he smelled the other wrist with this one. He didn't even have to put his face all the way in it. He was like, oh, yeah, I like that one. And when I told him it was Akimbo and not the Creed, he was like, oh, I don't know. I really like Creed. I was like, I thought, okay, maybe I just didn't spray enough of the Creed on. So I went back, I sprayed one more spritz of Creed on that wrist I had before. And you know, waited the 10, 30 seconds or so. At that point, they had the same projection. So it really, I'm telling you, you'd probably have to spray Creed on a couple times, not 3 times a day, if you wanted to have the same kind of initial scent, longevity, all of that. You're definitely gonna get more of that with the Akimbo. With that being said though, even within the dry down, even though it does come down softer when you're using the Creed dry down is smoother, it is softer, it is more well-rounded, it is more sensual. It does come, you do want to get a little closer to it. This one is like, whoa, I don't want to call it pungent. It's not pungent, but it is like, you don't want to get closer into it. I don't know if it's missing a musk note. It's missing something that draws you in, but you can smell it. The Creed has something in there that even when it dries down, it still draws you in. So for that reason, they are different, right? Even though they smell similar, they behave differently. Akimbo is loud, lasts a long time, and the scent you get in the beginning is like the scent that's there the entire time. Creed, on the other hand, starts very similar to Akimbo. Of course, a little bit rounder, but not much, right? Very much starts very much in the same vein, but this dries down softer and draws you in a little bit. It's a little bit sexier. So in terms of like, could either of these be a signature scent? Creed could be a signature scent. It's something that you could wear, and if you don't need something loud all day long, it is a lovely scent. It's fresh. It dries down nicely. You might want to spray it twice a day or something if you really want that freshness to happen more than, to last a long time. But this could be a signature scent in my mind versus Akimbo, which to me is just too, it's too much to be a signature scent. It's a little too sharp. So this one to me is like, you got to be in the mood. And if you're in the mood, this is a great banger if you're in the mood for a Creed Aventus type of smell. So lastly, I said I would say whether or not I felt like I needed a full bottle of Creed Aventus for her when I have this Akimbo from Oakcha. I gotta say, I'm gonna cheat here and say, not sure yet. I don't think so, but let me tell you why. Because I am looking for a signature scent. But for me, I'm really thinking about getting for my signature scent something called Brunelli Cucinelli. Cucinella, I'm probably messing that up. Brunelli Cucinella, I think is the full name for her. If you've ever smelled that, and I will probably do a video on that, it smells so good for a signature scent. It's like, you wanna be this woman who wears that perfume. I don't feel that way for this one. I feel like that there are other clean, fresh fragrances, whether they're expensive like this one, which I didn't even mention the price on this. I think, gosh, I'll have to go look it up. It's like $300 maybe, okay? For Creed Aventus, I'll find out. Versus Oakcha, which you can get this Akimbo one, I don't know. It depends on what sale you're finding, but between $30 and $40, okay? So to answer the question, do I think I need to get a full bottle of this? I don't think so, because it's lacking a little bit of the longevity I like. It's lacking a little bit of the kind of floral, sexy stuff I like in my perfumes. I just don't know where I would wear this Creed Aventus for her that often. Because if it's not a signature scent and it doesn't project that long and it doesn't last that long, I don't know. It's just not that enticing to me. So I'll keep thinking about it. Again, Akimbo, very close to Creed, dries down differently, has more projection, more longevity. It's missing a little bit of that sexy, draw you in, musky dry down that Creed has. Creed is much more well-rounded, but for the price, and if you want that vibe of Creed Aventus for her, and you just want it in your collection because sometimes you're in that mood, I would go get you a bottle of Oakcha Akimbo. All right, until next time, bye.